This podcast is part of the Pull Up a Chair podcast network. Let's build community through connection, conversation, and collaboration. This podcast is sponsored by Lever Consulting, editing with a purpose. Check them out at leverconsulting.com for a free consultation.
What does it mean to be happy? 'Cause it looks like we all don't know. Glass half full or empty. Man, we just putting on a show.
Hi, I'm Jake,
And I'm V,
and you're listening to the It's Working podcast.
where we take deep dives into mental health, breaking stigmas, and starting conversations.
Oh, you know, I try to find a purpose in my life to drive me, to guide me. Oh, doctor, I feel dead inside.
We are not healthcare professionals, and our opinions should not be taken as facts or as medical advice. To see any sources, resources, or study we speak about in this podcast, please check out our website, linked in the description of this podcast. If you or a loved one is struggling, there is hope and there is help. Some helpful resources can be found on our website, linked in the description of this podcast. It's Working Podcast is a production from the Pull Up a Chair Foundation. All opinions in this podcast belong to our hosts and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Pull Up a Chair Foundation. Hey
Now,
guys,
it wasn't-
so we're jumping in mid-conversation.
Oh my god.
Because we usually chat before we record our episodes.
We do?
We're talking about how much it sucks to be an adult right now with how expensive everything is. My gorgeous co-host over here, Jake, has an example of how he's jealous of somebody working at AM PM.
Solid 7 out of 10. Hey guys, how's it going? Yes, I was just telling Val about how on my way home from work, I was driving past an AM PM and I watched as a woman had walked out. This is while I was at a stoplight there. How she'd walked out of the AM PM wearing her like manager's shirt or something, and she went across the street to an apartment complex where she then took out keys and went into her home. And I was like, man, must be nice to be working a job where you can just be self-sufficient and not have to rely on, you know, like a roommate situation or any sort of like thing like that. But she just sort of like she's in a place where I wish I could see myself right now, as I have multiple roommates and barely any sort of like peace of mind, sort of alone time.
Or space.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm married, right?
Mm-hmm.
We both work, right? We still have a roommate. We had to get a roommate to buy a house, and we scraped and saved to get the down payment. And a good chunk of that savings was from my deceased father's life insurance policy. So it's not even like we actually made it on our own, because if my dad didn't die when I was 12, then I probably wouldn't own this house. Which is disgusting. Like, let's just, like, call it as it is.
Okay.
That's disgusting.
I wouldn't say it's disgusting. I would say it's resourceful.
It's something. And then
In a brighter
in the brighter light.
Yeah.
And even with that, we have a roommate. We're almost 30.
Mm-hmm.
How are we supposed to, like, how do people afford kids right now is my question. Like, I know
Lots of hand-me-downs and family support, I'd imagine.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, the whole idea of a nuclear family might have worked back when minimum wage was closer to a livable wage.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like, I can't imagine surviving without the rent money from our roommate. Like, I don't think we'd be able to, like, not that we live a fancy lifestyle, because our main entertainment is going to a free park event every Saturday.
Yeah.
But I'd be buying the generics of the generic brand of everything, and we'd be rationing food.
Sounds familiar.
Yep. And it's like, we're grown.
I know that you're still a young adult, Jake, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are young adults. But my husband and I, we're both almost 30. We both have been working our entire adult lives since college. We both have degrees. I have multiple degrees. And I am a manager or a thing at my job. And he's like gotten a couple of raises in the last year, and it's like we're still barely meeting ends meet.
It's crazy.
And it's devastating. Like, I did not think I was going to be here at this age. I didn't think it'd be this hard at this age.
I'm gonna go build a treehouse out in the woods somewhere.
Yeah.
Someone try and stop me.
You're gonna go live in a treehouse.
I'm gonna go live in a treehouse. Listen, I've seen some awesome setups for treehouses. I've been just bombarded lately with like all these TikToks and stuff of like people going out in the woods and building treehouses. I've been following a bunch of accounts, all like, you know, living, you know, people making shelters outside, really quick. Or sometimes it takes them years to build these like elaborate, like just fantasy-esque tree houses, like something that elves would live in.
Yeah, but how expensive would that be with the lumber and the hardware?
I mean, if you're going out into the woods, there's your lumber right there.
How many woods are there in California?
I'm not talking about California at this point.
Oh, where are you going to go? The Amazon?
Probably.
Oh, we're in the Amazon.
I suppose.
I love it.
Yeah. Coming to Netflix this fall. I'll
Yeah.
buy the Amazon. I don't know. The alternative is a box under a freeway somewhere, I guess. But even then, it's like, I don't know if I can afford rent at a box in California.
Under a freeway.
Under a freeway, yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, even like within how expensive it is in California, we're in like the Sacramento, middle California area.
Mm-hmm.
We're not in an expensive area like LA or, God forbid, the Bay Area.
Oh my lord.
Your whole body cringed.
I did, yeah.
How, like, I'm thinking about the younger generations who are making the, like, starting wage.
Mm-hmm.
How are they supposed to be adults? How are they supposed to move out when they're in, like, their early 20s, late teens? Like, they have to have dozens upon dozens of roommates their whole life. Like, I've never in my adult life lived without a roommate.
They could always start investing in Bitcoin right now.
No, Bitcoin's already crashed.
Oh, dang.
You're behind the trend.
Oh, no, I should have bought out then.
Oh, the pain.
Oh, no.
No,
Is it too late to still buy stock at GameStop?
I think so.
Oh, no.
But if
all my prospects.
If you think about it, like, Gen X, and especially like the baby boomers, by my age especially, they were in a house with a couple of kids.
Mm-hmm.
And probably a car that they own that is nice.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, but that was also back when a summer job could get you through a semester of college.
Oh, God.
Right? And so today's episode, this is not just us complaining about being millennials and being adults in this market, but like, how do you fight the absolute financial despair?
How do you?
How do you? On a daily basis, I remind myself that I am thankful that I have the best roommate that we've ever lived in. He, for the most part, cleans up after himself. He does not smell. He does not try to look up my skirt. He respects our privacy and we respect his, and it's just, that's great. He's like another member of our family.
Mm-hmm.
He's our teenager.
That's actually a good technique, remaining positive about your situation. Yeah, I guess, while it would be nice to have the independence of being out on my own, like, there are advantages of being in my situation. I'm not solely dependent on rent for a house, not let alone like an apartment, but like a house, right? And with that comes more space. There's a garage, front yard, backyard, things that you wouldn't typically have, and like a, probably at this point, whatever I could afford, like
A studio.
a box under a,
Yeah, a box under a bridge.
oh my god, don't even get me started if that bridge just so happens to be like near a school, and
No, God.
oh god, the resale value on that box would be astronomical. But yeah, I find myself doing that on like the really hard days of like coming home and being just like, having to lock myself in the garage and just like angrily work or fix or tinker with anything.
Yeah,
Just being like, it's not all bad.
could be worse.
It could be worse.
And even though sometimes I'm sure we both feel like we've hit rock bottom, we are nowhere near rock bottom. Mm-hmm. And we should probably take this moment to like warn our listeners: get rich quick.
Yep.
How do it?
Get rich quick schemes.
Thank you. I can't talk today.
Mm-hmm.
The despair's hitting me hard.
Yeah.
They don't work. If they did, everybody would be rich. So look around you. Is everybody rich? No. So they don't work.
Certainly feels like it sometimes, but no.
And you also shouldn't give in to hustle culture, because you will burn out. And if you actually hit your emotional rock bottom and lose your job and everything because you're too burned out to move, that's also not a good thing. So no, you should not be working 3 to 4 jobs just so you can live a mysterious lifestyle that nobody actually lives, except for the ultra stupid, mega rich.
Yeah.
And that's bad. I know that later on we're going to have an episode about toxic positivity, but I think that there's a lot of merit to talking about how it's okay to just be upset with your financial situation.
Yeah.
And it's not like always necessarily your fault you're in it either. Like, you can be working a good job regularly and still not be making it. And that's, like, not that it's okay, because it's not okay. If you're working a good job regularly, you shouldn't be struggling. But that doesn't mean that you need to go and get up and sell your soul to the corporate machine. Oh my god, I sound like an anarchist.
Down with the system. No, okay. I wanted to go back and revisit something that you just said about the hustle culture.
Yes.
Or, more so the look around you, is everyone rich? There was a time where it felt like everyone and their mom was like a YouTuber or like some sort of content creator.
Everybody still is.
Everyone still is.
Look at what we're doing right now.
Oh my god, you're right. But like the stupidly successful, like, I make millions of dollars for reviewing like Nerf guns, and that's my job. The content creators. There was a time when we did an activity with elementary schoolers back when I was doing daycare, and there was not anyone, like hardly any like representative from all age groups that did not say they wanted to be like some form of content creator. Like, I had kindergartners saying that they want to be YouTubers. They didn't even know how to spell YouTube, but they wrote it down as like their dream job. Because they see all of the people affording all these like lavish things. Like they're living it up like kings and queens in these mansions, and they have several cars and all of these things. And the youth see that and they want that. But it's not a fair assessment of success, because almost all of them, maybe, I would hope, not hope, but it's possible like maybe 1 or 2 of my students, former students, would actually achieve that level of success if they really put their nose to the grindstone, but certainly not all of them.
It's something like 0.056% of YouTubers actually make it successful.
Right.
I do YouTube regularly. It sometimes will cover my internet bill, and sometimes won't. I mostly get free products from companies. And as cool as it is to get a free treadmill or a free foot massager, that's not going to pay my mortgage or put groceries on the table. My chickens might. Owning chickens will like put food on the table, but not much else will.
That's fair.
It's like, it's kind of funny that we're talking about this, because I'm actually turning the direction of my YouTube channel into a hobby where I do random stuff, into more of discussing how to be eco-friendly on a budget.
The homesteading.
Yeah. Mostly because I'm so tired of seeing my grocery bill go up and up and up. And literally there's not much I can do about it.
No.
We've already cut all the fun foods. And it's terrible that, like, food is my coping mechanism. I think we've talked about it before. That I think of eating as a fun hobby and activity. It is amazing I'm not, like, 600 pounds. The judgment in your eyes.
No, it's just like, that's a very real thing. Because we have a lot of that in my family, and like, that is so true. My mom, not so much, because she's been like really on top of like her fitness and like recognizing like where she wants to be at weight wise and like keeping to that goal. But like a few of my like aunties, like they struggle with that because you're right. Like I think it's so difficult like for that not to be the thing because food is good.
Food is good.
Food is good, and it's one of the more like seemingly affordable hobbies is to just like go and get food.
Yeah, go get fun food, especially.
We do it for everything. We do it for like, you know, you go on dates and then you get food.
Yeah.
You know, what do you do like when you are with someone? Like you go and get food. Like if you're at a like business meeting, you go get lunch, right? Like we just love food as a culture, but it's not great. You had mentioned that it's okay to have the financial woes.
Yeah, like it's okay to have them, but I think, as I'm sure you're going to point out, you kind of have to do something because eventually you will hit financially the rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of bad resources out there. Let's preface with that. There's a lot of really, really bad resources out there for
sure.
people in financial straits. But I think the biggest thing you can do is recognize your feelings, feel them, and then make a budget. Like, do actionable steps, but you have to be realistic with it. Like we were just talking about with food being a culture, you can't say, well, I'm never going to eat it out again because cooking at home is cheaper. Like, no.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, you're going to fail at that budget.
Yeah.
And then you're going to feel like a failure. And then it'll push you to, I don't know, like, stress relief with shopping. Which is another...
Oh my God.
Yeah, like, that's another thing that's just, like...
That is also such a pitfall with, like,
such a pitfall.
How accessible it is now, like, Amazon and, like, all these other, like, websites that you can just go to and buy, like, 1,000 things before you even realize that you've spent your entire, like, month's check.
And you haven't even got the check yet.
No, yeah, you've spent money that you don't even have in your hand, and that's really bad.
That's really, really bad. And then you feel like a failure, and so you do something else to make yourself feel better, and then it just gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And I think...
It's not great.
And one strategy I was thinking might work is if you take the morality of it out. It's like, I am doing a bad job with my budget, therefore I am being bad. When you could rephrase it as, I was doing a poor job at managing my finances, and next week I am going to be more diligent about where my money is. So just taking a really... trying to make it less overtly putting yourself down and trying to be more objective, more robotic-like, if you will.
Sure. Try and take the emotion out of it.
Which is hard to do because we're very socially... God, how do I even say it?
We're very emotional.
We're very emotional, and we were taught that we should, like, reach certain goals by a certain age. And
Humans
if you...
are so dramatic.
Yeah, and then if you don't, you're just a failure at life. Like, yeah, you're breathing, you have clothes on, you ate your food, but you're a failure at life because you didn't XYZ.
Yeah. I think it's this year in particular, I think sucks, and it was a hard year coming into because I recall my parents were, like, married and living to, like, they had, I think they were either family planning or they were, like, I was on the way when they were my age.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, I think they took turns, like, finishing school, so, like, my dad finished first and then my mom went back or vice versa, but around that time that I was born, like, they were still in college, but they were, like, they had been married, they were living together, like, in an apartment, either by Sac State or, like, somewhere nearby that was affordable for, like, 2 college students at the time, but, like, yeah, they were straight up, like, having a family at around the age that I am now, and so people will say, like, oh, you can't compare. It's like, how can you? Like, how can you not? Like, that's...
Like, it's hard not to do.
That's the example placed before... That is the prime example placed before me as, like, the most accessible throughout my entire life has been, like, the example my parents have set. It would be insane not to try and model most of my life after them.
Okay, but speaking on your particular situation, and if you guys haven't listened to the religious trauma episode, I feel like your dedication to your church early on and what should have been your primary years of getting established financially were absolutely destroyed. You were doing basically a full-time job for free.
Yeah.
For how many years?
Oh God, like two
Yeah.
or three.
2 or 3. Where you were doing the work, but you weren't getting the money. But it was seen as like success because you were doing it for the church, and that's a good thing. And the fact that you weren't making money is fine because you figured out how to survive without it. But here you are, how many years later, and you're doing what you should have been doing at that age.
Yeah.
And I was, okay, so when I was in college, right, I had 2 part-time jobs and was a full-time student. I was like, I'm going to get so far ahead. It's going to be great. And then I got to the end of college, and I was so burnt out that I was like, I wasn't on the brink of a mental breakdown. I was in the middle of a mental breakdown that I was denying was happening. And so when I got my first job that wasn't connected to what I was doing in college, I fell to pieces. And keep in mind, my job that I did throughout most of college, I ran a community center. I was organizing weddings, I was organizing art gallery showings. I had big girl responsibilities. I had a big job, I was working for the city, and it was great. I knew people, and then I moved here to Sacramento, and I had a hard time getting a retail job. And I had all this experience under my belt. I had the degrees to back me up, and nobody wanted to hire me.
Suddenly, it just wasn't good enough. Yeah.
No, it wasn't good enough, and I went from making $23 an hour to $16, and I just couldn't. And I took like a year off from working, and I'm still recovering from feeling like a failure for peaking in college.
Yeah.
Not that I necessarily would say that I peaked in life, but like I was definitely at what most people would call like successful. But even then, I had roommates because I couldn't afford an apartment on my own.
No.
I was forced to live with a boyfriend that I wasn't ready to move in with because neither of us had an option. And then in addition to living with my boyfriend, we had 2 other roommates. And we cycled through usually between 1 or 2 roommates all the way up until now, where we currently still have a roommate.
Yeah. Oh, but he's so good.
Oh yeah, Brad's the best. I know he doesn't listen to this, so my joke about him being my teenager isn't ever going to get to his ears.
Wait a minute.
What?
You said his name.
Oh, I've already said his name. He's been on my YouTube channel before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
he
hold on.
has consented to being part of my public persona.
Okay, gotcha.
I know you don't watch my YouTube channel, but in one of the early episodes on my YouTube channel, I was trying to meal prep, and he came out and we did moonshine shots together, and the cooking got dramatically worse.
Oh my god.
It was amazing.
That sounds great.
And then,
Okay. This is now I don't know exactly how many times, but I will go and commit to watching your content.
It's
I just
fine.
have so much content that I'm sifting through right now.
It's fine. I am not a professional. I'm not a real YouTuber. I do it for the free products companies send me.
Sure. Is that actually why?
Kinda at this
point.
point.
Oh my god.
I started it so I could keep up with my editing skills because that is a skill you will lose fast. I am awkward on camera. I am kind of goofy looking, and I'm always like, I can't speak right. I slur my words.
Oh my god. Stop.
It's
stop.
bad.
You're spiraling down.
I'm
Stop.
spiraling. Anyways, I had a lot of fun with it for a while, but I haven't posted a video in like 2 weeks. But I'm also pivoting the point of my channel, and so maybe that'll like inspire some new creativity in me. So if anybody's listening to this podcast and doesn't watch my YouTube channel, I'm going to lightly say you're the worst, but I'm just kidding. It's fine. I
am
understand.
subscribed if that means anything.
Oh, that's great.
I do see the notifications. It's just like, oh, I should get around to watching that, and then I don't.
What you need to listen to is my other podcast, though, Cringe With Me. I think that's the only quality content I really put out.
Oh, yeah? Are those the Reddit ones?
Yeah, those are the Reddit ones with
I've
Ryan.
seen a couple of those.
Yeah.
Those are pretty good.
Actually, I think it'll be out when this episode comes out. An episode the following Wednesday of this will be one with me and Ryan, where I talk about a mom who did the ultimate betrayal to her daughter.
Oh my god.
Like, it's the worst Reddit thing I've
You heard it
ever.
here first.
Yes, so just
Man.
be ready. Ryan almost cried. He had to get up and walk out.
Mhm.
It was intense. And
I
I'm
don't
not
want
worried.
you to answer, but like I'm curious if it has anything to do with like the mom wearing white to her daughter's wedding or something.
No,
like,
it's worse than that because I've read so
Oh,
many of
God.
those.
Oh,
I'll tell you after we're done recording this episode, but it's rough. So that's the only content that I'm actually proud of. And we're very off topic. So getting back on the topic,
Yeah.
if you had any advice to giving somebody who is struggling with the financial blues,
Mhm.
who's having a moment with hustle culture,
Yeah.
who's feeling like a failure as an adult because they're not financially where they want to be.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a thing here. I'm gonna speak against hustle culture because I have come into this new job from construction, which is a very heavily hustle culture environment. And while it was a great paying job, I recognized within a year that if I was to continue doing that job, it would have destroyed me. I wasn't sleeping. I hardly got like my lunch breaks because I was choosing to work through my lunch breaks to make a little bit more overtime, a little bit more money. It was devastating to my health, both physical and mental. So hustle culture is bullshit.
It's bullshit.
It's bullshit. Don't buy into it. Like, prioritize a healthier you, both physically and mentally, and then figure it out. Once you're centered and right, things will just sort of happen. Trust that. Like, you got this.
Yeah, I mean, there's other ways to making it work, and if you would like to, we could do an episode on my YouTube channel about giving practical strategies.
Oh boy.
What do you think? Are you gonna become a guest star on the Cringe With Me YouTube channel?
Perhaps.
Perhaps. Okay, guys, we're not making any promises.
Yeah.
Just like last week, how we didn't make any promises
Mhm.
about his sister coming. We're not making promises on this.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
It was a crazy week.
She was only here for the weekend. It was too short. I already miss her.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love your guys' relationship. It's very sweet.
Yeah. She's the best.
All right, with that, we should probably be wrapping it up pretty soon.
Mhm.
So, last minute advice that I have is don't feel bad that you're not where you think that you should be because the system is set up to fail you.
Ooh.
You look like I punched you in the face.
No, because you mentioned earlier about the anarchist, like, sort of, like, and I was like, oh, man, yeah, really nailing it home at the very end.
Well,
Down with the
I
system.
I
Eat
am
the
who I
rich.
am. Yeah, eat the rich.
And my parting advice is eat the rich.
Okay, great. I love it. Is that your actual parting
No,
advice?
my actual advice was hustle culture is bullshit. Take care of you first.
Yeah, and then maybe subscribe to my YouTube channel. It'll be linked somewhere.
Yeah, I'll watch with you guys.
We'll maybe or maybe not talk about practical strategies and making it work on a very tight budget. And no, you're not a failure if you have to do these awkward strategies.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, guys, we'll see you next week. Good luck out there. Don't drive too much. Gas is too expensive.
Oh my god. See ya. Join the conversation. Find us on social media at It's Working Podcasts or link below.
Thanks for listening, and we hope you join us next week.
Be kind to yourself and to others.
What does it mean to be happy? 'Cause it looks like we all don't know. Glass half full or empty. Man, we just putting on a show. Oh, you know, I try to find a purpose in my life to drive me, to guide me. Oh, doctor, I feel dead inside.
Sarah and Scooter Podcast is a conversation between
You guessed it.
Sarah,
And Scooter. We are not experts on any of these topics.
just hoping to spark something like an idea, conversation, or even a revelation.
Subjects will vary depending on our friends, family, and community.
Sometimes it will be what we want to talk about.
New episodes drop every week on all of your favorite podcast formats.
So pull up a chair and
And let's talk about stuff.